2, 3, 4.
We are Movie Menu Reviews, based on the animated series, based on the graphic novel, based on the children's book, and based on the horror that is our lives. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing The Kitchen, Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Too real.
Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast, live on Facebook. Thank you so much if you're watching us live, or if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We thank you. Joining us today, we have a special guest here.
Yeah, we do.
Drew Green, thank you so much for being here.
I'm going to clap for myself.
Yes, as you should. As you should.
There you go.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We've been friends for quite some time, and I've always been reading your reviews on Facebook, and I'm like, you know what? Gosh darn it, this guy needs to be on our show.
He has a lot to say.
He does. He's not shy about it at all. Someone who is shy to talk is my co-host, Mike Stang.
Yay.
That's why he barely talks in the show.
That's really well done. I was like, you're not talking about me at all.
No, someone who doesn't shut the fuck up is my co-hosting panelist, Z.
That's right. You're welcome.
So we have a lot to cover in this episode. Drew, you came in the penultimate episode. This is our second to last episode of the season, so thank you again for being here.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So first thing first, we're going to talk about some movie news. First is the Movie Pass. So it was released that Movie Pass started to change the passwords of their users in order for them not to cancel the subscription.
Wow.
Without letting them know.
Yeah.
So Movie Pass is receiving a lot of heat for this. What do you guys think about? Did you guys have Movie Pass? Did you guys like the service? Do you still have the service?
Well,
what do you think about this company going underneath or behind your backs and changing your password so you are unable to stop payment?
Yeah, and in addition to that, what they would do, and I'm sure Mike and I definitely experienced myself, whenever you would go to the theater and you wouldn't be able to access Movie Pass, it's because it was during a peak hour and they would cancel your ability to connect to the service. So it's not just simply they would change your passwords when they notice, it's they were messing with users way before that.
But also they were targeting basically people who were using
high users.
Yeah, high users who were using the pass because Movie Pass, they can't support their
financially they couldn't do
their
it.
Business model.
Yeah. They financially couldn't do it. They ran to the point where they had no more money to spend on movie tickets.
Well, I remember when they still had it. There was a power surge. They said on Twitter it was a power surge that went off. But it was really that they ran out of money and had to borrow $5 million to cover the offset of what they were using. So, what are your thoughts about Movie Pass and the shadiness of it all?
Mike?
That's, in the beginning I was a huge fan of Movie Pass. I remember back when it was like almost $50 a month. Yeah. And there was just no cap. You could watch as many movies as you want a month. It was amazing. As I would watch one movie a day. And then, just how it, devolved into what it's become.
Then it started to where you have to take pictures of your ticket.
Yeah. And
you were one of the first, too, who had that pull on him.
Yeah, and actually, Rigo told me about that as well, where he said they would... Sometimes he would open up the app and it would just automatically block out certain movies. Yeah, and this was before they officially announced the whole
$9.99.
No, this was before they made it way more complicated where they were saying you can't watch the tentpole films. I don't know.
Right. That was during Mission Impossible, the last film, where that movie they cut it off from most users, and all you were able to watch were independent films at the time. You weren't able to watch at peak hours.
Yeah,
that's when I canceled my subscription, basically.
Same here, and I've been enjoying AMC ever since.
Drew, did you have a Movie Pass or any of the subscriptions?
No. My dad had it. My boyfriend had it. When I first met him, he had it. It always seemed like a really screwy service. It never seemed like something that could sustain itself. It's clear that's true. It's clear that hasn't really worked out for them. weren't they talking about making movies or something?
Yeah.
Funding films?
Yeah.
They were doing that, yeah.
While people were not able to properly use their service. Like,
Yeah.
I just never trusted the concept. I don't know. Yeah.
And I mean, we were talking about this. Like, we're surprised no one has sued yet, but I'm sure that a lawsuit is
I'm sure a
about
class
to
action
happen.
lawsuit is going to happen in the near future for MoviePass. But something that came from it that we've learned, because they did kind of change the model for movie-going experiences.
It did help.
And like all these other movie theater chains have started their subscription services. Regal just started one recently. AMC A-List.
Yes.
That has been about a year now. And it's been going pretty strong.
Right.
They have over 900,000 members.
Yeah. So they're closing in on 1 million.
And they started off with $19.99. Now they've raised the prices to certain cities, like in New York and LA, and any major cities.
Have they really?
Yeah. So after a year, you were promised $19.99 for a year, and now after a year, it's going to go up to $24.99.
Oh, that's fine.
Which is not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Especially if you go to movies like. I go constantly,
right?
So
as frequently as we do. Like this weekend, I think I was in the theater for about 3 movies. So like, it's just, if you are using the service, then AMC A+ card, A-List is amazing. It does the trick. What I love about AMC is that they moved over from having like choose whatever seat to seat assigned, and I think that's what really changed the game a little bit with the AMC card, because I really do like the idea of just simply showing up and sitting in the seat that you bought. So it's really good, and hopefully, they won't screw up like
MoviePass.
Like MoviePass.
Well, so far they've been keeping their promise with the films, and the theaters, they make their money off concessions usually.
Yeah.
So they offer points as well as rewards to go ahead and use their concessions. So I've been using the concessions like every single time I go. So
and they've made it a little bit easier too, because they've allowed for you to have like special lines to purchase food, and it does feel like you're like a VIP when you're in the movie theater, which is nice. That's actually quite helpful to the experience. You don't feel like you're spending too much time waiting around, because I'm sure you've had the moment where you take your mom or you go with somebody and they're like, I want popcorn in the middle of the movie, and then you have to run out to get popcorn, mom, and you're stuck in a long ass line because the Gen Ed line is like super long, and then the VIP one is very tiny. So again, it's really nice. Or you can use the app to just order more popcorn.
Yeah, that's what I was
just
about
go and
to
pick
say.
it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
You hear that, MoviePass? You are not AMC.
You hear that,
so
Mom?
Just stop.
Stop that.
Leave your mom alone.
If MoviePass would have just not changed anything and kept it at $45 a month, I may have kept it.
Yeah, but they would have gone bankrupt. I think the problem was that they didn't make any back end deals that actually reinforced the whole setup. So that, I think, is the biggest.
It seemed like all their problems started when they dropped it down to $10 a month.
Yeah. When the guy from Netflix took over, that's when it really kind of started shooting down.
Got you.
But anyways, yeah.
Well, that's when they tried to also, like Drew had mentioned, make their own movies, promote their own films, like try to produce stuff that, like Gotti, which was a horrible film, but they were trying to have, say it was like the greatest film ever made.
Right.
So that alone was just a big mistake. Now, another potential mistake, or not, we shall discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Universal cancels The Hunt. What do we think about The Hunt being canceled after?
So The Hunt, I've seen the trailer. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer.
Yeah.
So the trailer is essentially this woman walks into a liquor
store,
like a gas station, and shoots the place up. And essentially, what you find out in the movie is that the rich are hunting the poor, or they're hunting like just people they've found on the streets or whatever. So it's a movie about
the thing was the people who were being hunted were called deplorables in the film.
Yeah.
And it was the rich who were going for the poor, but also going for people who were like outspoken against the elite, the rich.
Right. Which, just listening to this sounds a little bit like The Purge.
Yeah.
To which then my question becomes too little too late. Like I get the idea of like censorship and why they want to do this. So the reason why they are canceling is because of the shootings. But there's been so many other movies that have promoted gun violence, especially gun violence of white perpetrators on minorities. For example, I think the movie called Butterfly or something like that with I'm trying to look it up here with it's Jennifer Gardner. There was that movie. Then there was that other really silly movie with bald-headed git who Bruce Willis.
Oh yes,
it was a remake.
Yeah, it was a remake. So
that's how memorable it is.
Death Wish.
There you go. Yeah, so you have all these movies that have promoted very, very right-wing perspective on things, and they're removing the hunt. I don't understand that.
So this is Universal Pictures' statement.
Sure.
While Universal Pictures had already paused the marketing campaign for The Hunt, after thoughtful consideration, the studio has decided to cancel our plans to release the film. We stand by our filmmakers and will continue to distribute films in partnership with bold and visionary creators like those associated with this satirical social thriller, but we understand that now is not the right time to release this film. So they're basically talking about their team up also with Blumhouse.
Yeah.
So Blumhouse was also releasing this film, and they're also known for The Purge, and they're also known for the other films that we've talked about. Yeah. So they said they want to continue their relationship with these films, but at this time is not the right. Which, you know what, I could see the sensitivity behind it, and I can respect that. But I guess this also perpetuates what was said about the violence coming from video games or media.
It does. It kind of bends to what was being said in the politics, right? Which is that like the reason why the shooter did what he did was because he's mentally ill and he's been influenced by the media. And it's like, no, that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. And they're blaming, and even at that, like Universal bowing down to this, like guys, grow some balls and actually step back, push them back a little bit and say these are just movies. They're not promoting. I mean, I do think that films do promote violence. We've done a rant on this where you see gun violence and you don't see gun violence in realistic terms. If ever you've seen somebody get shot, you know exactly what it looks like. And when you watch a movie like The Purge, they're not realistic at all, and I think that's a promotion of violence. If comparison to watch anything from like Mexico's The Three Amigos, any of the violence they show, like what was that one really awesome movie?
The Revenant, or
The Revenant was great, but I'm talking about the one where nobody was having babies.
Oh, Children of Men.
Children of Men. That whole sequence of violence, and they linger on what gunshots do to people's bodies. That is not a promotion of violence, but every other movie that's been released has been promotions of violence. I get that. Rein that in. Make classy movies, please. But like, don't bow down to the politics of the now, because the politics of now isn't really substantial. There's no grounding, and there's no science behind that films cause shootings. That is not a causality at all.
Especially since cinema is even though these films might not be considered, but cinema itself is an art form. Video games are a type of release of an art form that people have worked on, and that is universal around the world. But the majority of what happens is in the United States. And
studies have shown that it's actually decreased violence. Like, people who are violent will act violently regardless of video games. That's a stone cold hard fact right there. And realistically, like, again, we're talking about movies, so I don't want to talk about politics, but like, we shouldn't be, promoting a policy that is not factual. What I think Universal was doing, and I swear to you, I think this is exactly what it was, that movie was garbage, and it didn't want to release it, so they're blaming the politics of now to take a cash back, because because if you do a really bad movie and it bombs, you can actually get some money back for it. The studios take out the insurance for that stuff. I think that's what's going on, and I think they're just blaming it on that.
It could be. They stopped the marketing for it, and there was not much marketing going on, so this could have been a big flop for them. So instead of, they're just going to do their loss and just file it away. We do have a couple comments from Mikey Pruitt. What's up, Mikey? He says he thinks it's the climate we're in right now. And he's like, the rich people in this film. Are the rich people in this film white attacking minorities, though?
No, the lead is white. Like, there's no,
It hit too close to home, not because of the poor correlation between the media and actual violence. Yeah, that is an interpretation that it could be in poor taste that it was released.
Yeah.
The movie was going to be released September 27th, which was over a month from now, but so they could have postponed it further. But again, this film is not that.
I think this movie was garbage. I don't think it was going to be released to begin with. I think that they're literally just blaming something. And you know what?
It's just the principle.
And it may just be promotion for the movie. Right? What if they release it later on Blu-ray or whatever?
Like the interview?
Yeah, exactly like that. And then people want to watch it because people are now talking about it.
Yeah, that's a good
Drew,
point.
did you have something to say?
I was actually going to ask if you thought they would release it at all. I don't think it's a reaction to the pseudoscience or the quote-unquote studies. I do think it's a reaction to the current culture, but it seems like a waste not to release it eventually.
Yeah.
You're right, it's probably not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to avoid having that kind of message attached to a movie that's just not good.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't see a lot of stuff disappear and not come back.
That's true, because
exactly.
we see a lot of films that get canceled like before it's even a trailer is out or something.
Mm-hmm.
This was already like a go. It was a go for a while, and for it to just be pulled. There are talks that Universal is going to launch their own streaming service, and there might be talks that it might be released there, but we'll see. I mean, only time can tell. And speaking of time, the next thing I want to cover is just want to say that the sad part of this as well is that it's been 5 years since Robin Williams passed away, and we just want to say rest in peace. Anything else anyone want to say about Robin Williams?
The suicide hotline's there if you need it, because I think his death was a suicide. So if you have thoughts and feelings that are surrounding your own personal harm, reach out.
Yeah, the number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
Yeah,
you are not alone.
Yeah. Because I think his cool.
So we're gonna move on to the movie review.
Yeah, we are.
Right now, we are not live.
Movie menu.
So the movie we are reviewing is The Kitchen, directed and written by Andrea Berloff, based on the characters created by Ollie Masters and Ming Doyle, which is based on a comic book by Vertigo. Here's the plot. The wives of New York gangsters in Hell's Kitchen in the 1970s continue to operate their husbands' rackets after they're locked up in prison. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss. All right, guys, I have not seen this film, so depending on your spoiler-free review, I would decide this movie's worth a dine-in and watch it in theaters, take out, wait and watch it at home, or leftovers, get your body tossed on the river, or however mobsters do it. I don't know.
There is a river.
Or get your feet, or sleep with the fishes.
Sleep with the fishes.
There you go.
Cement shoes?
Yeah, with cement shoes.
Okay.
On that note, Drew, as our guest, you have the opportunity to earn a point. Now, how the points work is if you can earn up to 10 points in the lifetime that movie menu is, so it means you have to come back. You can go ahead and create your own segment of your choosing that is movie related. So it'd be anything. And these guys don't get anything.
We do not.
Because
we don't want them.
Because they suck.
Yes, yeah.
But you can also turn in the points and get some really cool prizes like boba or a torta from this nice little restaurant nearby, or horchata.
We should really get sponsorship from them.
We should. The sky's the limit, basically. So you want these points.
Yes, and Dan will be purchasing for you.
So you want to go ahead and sway me on your review. And on that note, go ahead and rate this film.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, man. Do you want me to rate it first, or do you want me to talk about it first?
Rate it first, and then then back up your review on why you rated that. Rated that way.
What's the worst one again?
Leftovers.
I wouldn't even order this meal if I could get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that this movie, if it was an order, it would produce chorro. Diarrhea pretty quickly. Like it's kind of like you're eating it, and as soon as you're eating it, your bowels exit out. Like it's such a terrible
Hopefully
movie.
No one's having dinner at this time and watching us at the same time. Mikey, if you're having dinner right now, we apologize.
Except I don't. Mike, what's your review?
Mikey.
Oh, sorry.
This Mike.
Yeah, yeah, that Mike.
So it wasn't I don't think it was as bad to me as people were saying. I'm gonna go take out.
Wow. Okay.
Going against the grain. Good job.
All right.
So 2 leftovers. Did you say leftovers, Steve?
I did say leftovers. Yes.
And so 2 leftovers and 1 takeout.
Yeah.
But I'm
okay. So I will say that I did want to see this film.
You
because, I haven't seen. I mean, I didn't see it, but I want to see it because of the 3 casts looked amazing.
You do not.
And this reminded me of like
you know what this should remind you of?
Widows.
Tammy.
Oh no way!
Yes, it's as bad as Tammy.
I disagree.
Where there was people in the crowd, I swear to you, people in my crowd laughing nervously because they didn't know whether or not they were watching a comedy
that's
or a drama.
Because that's Melissa McCarthy and Tiffany Haddish as their reputation as actresses, right?
Just like Tammy. Tammy was a movie that was that bad. No, this movie has a good, solid cast. Don't get me wrong. Melissa McCarthy, Tiffany Haddish, and Elizabeth Moss are brilliant. But they are honestly probably the worst acting I've seen in a long time. I don't know. What the only thing I can say is that it's not.
Was it the material?
It's not that they're bad actors because we know they can act. It's just bad directing overall.
We should also say don't be afraid to interrupt Z because he'll keep on going.
Yeah.
With
I'm gonna
jump in.
They're all great actors.
Yeah.
And usually I just say that it's bad writing, that a good actor can't make use of bad writing, which I don't think is always true. But it's just a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's poorly made. It looks good. Like the fashion and the set design is actually really good. I too was really excited to see this.
Yeah.
This is the worst movie I've seen this year in theaters. If What Men Want wasn't this year, I think it was last year, which was the one I really wanted to walk out on. I wanted to walk out on this, but I had to do that. I had to watch it for this.
Yeah. Thank you for your commitment.
My fiance kept on looking at me going, "Can we leave? Can we leave?" And I was like, "No, I got to review this."
How long within the film did you already know that it was trash?
About 15 minutes in.
About 15 minutes in.
Because you're in the 15 minutes and you're like getting the world and figuring out the accents and you're like, these accents seem campy and bad, but I'm not really sure if this is going to be the whole movie. And then 15 minutes in, you're like, oh no, this is the whole movie.
The whole movie.
Yeah, and then it's like there's bad editing all around. There are things that happen. Like there's a shot. I don't know.
Do they try to make it because it's based on a graphic novel? Did they try to make it like the original Ang Lee Hulk, where it's like comic book?
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. But it's just essentially a whole bunch of weird B shots that make no sense. There's a moment in the movie where I was like, why the fuck are you filming a rat? There's a rat.
The rat. I remember the rat thinking, like, what is this doing here?
I was like, oh, that must be significant. No, it wasn't. She just liked watching a rat, and it just, the camera, there was nobody around.
Maybe it was like a metaphor for like a rat in the
Nope. You know what? I will say that. I think that this movie sort of reeks of that, like, a director trying to do something interesting, but it doesn't have the level of skill to do it. I don't know. I think this movie had a really bad pacing problem.
It did.
I don't like to clock watch when I'm in the theater, and I looked at my watch every probably 20 minutes, and it felt like an hour had passed every time. Yeah. So much happens, and nothing happens at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, I was the same way. I was looking down. There was a moment in the movie where I did the one thing I try never to do, which is pick up my phone. Again, my fiance's sitting next to me, so I was like, here, cover me real fast. And I'm looking to see what the running time is, and I literally just like look up at the sky and the roof, the ceiling, and I'm like, fuck, we have 60 more minutes to go.
Yeah,
it was
miserable.
So miserable to watch this movie. and honestly, like even the supporting cast, because you have supporting casts that are literally like talent, right? We're talking about Domhnall Gleeson, and he's in there for the majority of the movie, and you don't know why. He's just awful in it.
There are dramatic beats in this movie where I felt a little bad, but I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And I think there were moments where the rest of the theater kind of chuckled. I think they didn't know what they were watching. They didn't know what to make of what they were watching.
It was bad framing. There was moments where
I was so excited because I was like, Tiffany Haddish, I know she could probably do drama good.
Yeah.
Like she always does comedy, but I want to see her like in a badass role. Same thing with Melissa McCarthy, and then Elizabeth Moss with The Handmaid's Tale and Us, like she could do bad.
Yeah,
I was so real quick though before you guys continue, because you guys are doing a lot of trash talking, which is great. We love that. Mike, talk about
what did you like this movie? Why?
Why do you like trash, Mike?
Why do you want chorro? That's the real question. Why do you want diarrhea?
I'm just used to it, I guess. No. So
hanging out with Z.
No, first, I'm gonna say this wasn't. I don't think this was as bad as Tammy. So
disagree.
And
so
wait,
I know. Keep going.
Also, I think it did kind of suffer the similar fate as like The Mummy with Tom Cruise, where it has like a bunch of really good cast, but like it no one is kind of used to their fullest potential.
Now you know The Mummy like destroyed a whole cinematic universe, right? Like it canceled
the dark universe,
the whole dark universe. Like
not clarifying, not as bad as that. Not as bad as that. Okay. So, but I think, I think it had a lot of good elements, but none of them were necessarily executed very well.
Yes.
And I think opposite of Z, I enjoyed Donald Gleason's character. I felt like that was probably the best part of that film. Like the film could have easily ran away with that. That could have easily been the main focus of it. Like the between
Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth Moss and Donald Gleason's character. Like if it would have focused more on that, I think that would have been more enjoyable. And I think it kind of. The biggest issue I had with this film was that
it wasn't enjoyable.
Was that in most like mobster movies, like they get what's coming to them, and like without giving too much away, I feel like there's not enough of this moral compass there.
It's not a satisfaction.
Yeah, it feels
there's no conflict.
If it feels
there's no personal conflicts. What are you trying to say?
Yeah, not only that, but it feels like
these Brightburn.
It feels like these characters are like constantly considered like they're like we're supposed to view them as good people, and I think that's the biggest problem of this film.
Yeah,
and it does like, and it may turn off some people, but it is like it is heavy-handed in a lot of its messages as well.
Yeah, and I think that's another huge point right there. But just to back up a little bit, it's the directing here. Andrea Berloff, like she first-time director. She hasn't directed anything, and you can really tell because, as we were saying before, the pacing's completely off. And what Mike is saying is that there's a lot of good elements in this movie. Had they focused on them, had the story been this one little moment, then it would have been fine. But it feels so misdirected in that it goes into multiple elements and multiple story subplots that are unexplained, that you're literally like, this could have easily, I feel like this was a book, and we know it is because it was based off of a comic book. But I feel like in the comic book, you understood why characters were motivated in the way that they were. In this one, it jumps from A to C, and it doesn't explain to you why a character does something.
Do you think that because it's based on a graphic novel, then they try to put the whole series into this film, like shove everything into it?
I think so, and I think they edited the scenes that were critical.
Did they do the Last Airbender in this?
No, because The Last Airbender was just horrible on its own. It was racist and horrible. Let's be honest. That movie was just awful. No, I just think that this movie was, as Mike was saying, very heavy-handed on its politics, and because of that, it didn't work well. And I think that it almost feels like the politics were like the last inclusion. Like,
I don't know if I feel like it was political.
You don't think so?
Because I feel like it would have had to have an opinion.
Well, the gender politics was there. The racial politics was there.
But it doesn't sell any of it.
That's what I'm saying. It felt like it was like the final element. Like somebody in the studio said, you got to drive the point through, and you got to say that it's because they're women that they're doing all this.
Which is compelling if you do it right.
Exactly.
Like Widows, right?
Yeah, Widows was fantastic. That was well-paced. You understood that these were women who were put in terrible positions because their husbands were mobsters, and they needed to make money. Right, it's literally the same story, just done way better with Widows because Steve McQueen is a good writer. He knows how to write and direct good movies.
Okay, we got a couple of comments.
Go for it.
Mikey says, but Melissa McCarthy and Tiffany Haddish are queens. Rigo says, clearly, he's talking about you, Drew. You haven't seen Godzilla. If this is the worst film.
Wait, which Godzilla?
The new one, yeah.
The new one for the year.
That was okay.
It was okay.
I liked it, and it was bad, but it was good. And
Thank you, Drew.
But we won't focus on it. I actually enjoyed that.
I actually just saw it after the review, and yeah, I agree with Drew on this.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Mikey is dang. He had no idea what this film is about, but woof. This was a drama. This was a drama?
This was supposed to be a drama.
And Eric Watkins, hey, Eric,
okay,
says, don't hate on Tiff.
Well,
We're not.
She's still great. Yeah. Everybody in this movie is great outside of this movie. I want to see this. I want to see this movie again, but made again.
Yeah,
with
someone else.
with someone else writing and directing.
Directed by Martin Scorsese?
Probably for Netflix.
Sure.
You know what though? Yeah, I mean, if in capable hands, I think they could have really done a good job. I think this movie required, sadly, either a second unit director that knew what they were doing to assist the director, because they were so clearly new. They were trying something new. It looks like the person directing this, Andrea Berloff, had a vision, but she just couldn't pull it off because at the end of the day, there was just too many problems with this movie.
Too many elements.
Too
much to sort of juggle.
Yeah.
They really should have just picked one of these women to do a movie about.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I do think Melissa McCarthy's character is the most compelling.
Yeah.
Just conceptually, but yeah, the payoff. There's no
no payoff.
We can't talk about the ending.
But that was so horrible. It was just so bad.
Yeah, I agree. They're correct.
It was like I just needed 5 drinks to survive that ending.
It wasn't as bad as Godzilla, though. I'm just saying.
I liked Godzilla. I thought Godzilla was good.
So who are you going to trust? Mike, who's clearly selling on Godzilla being horrible,
or
us who agree with you on this point?
You know what? I have heard enough, and I think I'm going to go with Leftovers. You guys have swayed me to avoid this film. You guys have really a film that I was looking forward to. Now I feel like I dodged a bullet.
Yeah,
unlike a lot of the guys in that film who got killed by bullets.
Yes,
apparently.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the trailer for this movie was really good.
Yeah,
it was.
I don't blame you for being excited. We were excited too. But
then you saw the result. The end result.
Terrible.
So you're saying dine in for the trailer?
Yeah, honestly, yes.
Yeah.
I would watch the trailer again. Not now. Now I know too much.
Not after watching the movie. You're too traumatized by it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that out of context. Must watch. So it's true.
There you go.
And then in really tiny text, it'll say the trailer.
They'll all hate me.
No one could ever hate you, Drew. All right, let's move on to the next movie review.
Movie menu.
And since I did see this film, but Mike didn't.
I did not.
I'm going to toss the hosting duties over to Mike Singh.
Yay!
And finally host an episode.
Finally.
Good grief. Yeah, we literally had to force you to not watch a movie.
I'm rusty. I don't know how to.
In more ways than one, Mike. In more ways than one.
It's okay, Mike. I'm here to help. It's like I'm your training wheels right now. If you need help, I'll step in.
Okay.
Yes.
Assistant unit host.
Yes. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you very much. So the next movie we're reviewing, is Dora and the Lost City of Gold, directed by James Bobbin, written by Matthew Robertson, Nicholas Stoller, and Tom Weller, based on characters by Chris Gifford, starring Isabella Moner, Eugenio Derbez, Joy Vieira, Madeline Madden, and Nicholas Combe. Is it Combe or Combe? That's okay. I'm gonna go with Combe.
Sorry, I feel like I just let you down.
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay. I'm gonna run with it, and if I've mispronounced your name, I apologize. So, and you guys can correct me.
I'm just gonna go with comb.
Comb?
Yeah,
just because you like combing your hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Combe.
Okay. We were all wrong. Okay.
I don't know.
It was Samsonite. Okay. Here's the plot. Dora, a teenage explorer, leads her friends on an adventure to save her parents and solve the mystery behind a lost city of gold. Now, depending on your spoiler-free review, I will decide if this movie is worth a dine-in, watch it in theaters, take out, wait, and watch it at home, or leftovers, sit home and watch cartoons all day, or...
Sure.
Yeah.
And watch Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, let's
marathon.
On marathon. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, so I haven't seen this movie, and I'm sure you don't need me to repeat the whole point system.
No, I got it.
Other than the fact that Dan owes you a torta.
At this point, yeah. For forcing him to watch that shitty movie, absolutely.
So Dan may owe you...
Yeah, you have a point so far, Drew.
I'm performing well in Adult Book It. This is good.
So Drew, how do you rate this movie?
You know what? I went in, especially after watching the trailers for months. We see a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I went in thinking this was going to be bad.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking this was going to be for anybody in particular. And I have to say dine in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, based on the trailer, it kind of reminded me of like Jumanji. Like
Sure.
I imagine it the Jumanji sequel. Like so. Z, how do you rate this movie?
You know, I'm with you on that. I am totally with you on that. However, I am not like I wouldn't tell people go run and watch this in theaters. I would say, you know what, Takeout. I really enjoyed this movie. I laughed a whole lot more than I expected to.
A lot, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I would say that this movie is arguably more closer to, say, Deadpool in its own self-reference and awareness that it's in that the character is in the movie, and I think that's what made this movie that much fun. But I wouldn't say that you need to rush out to watch it in theaters. I would say, you know what, if it's on Netflix and you were like, you know, let's check this one out, you will be gladly surprised you watched it. It's so much fun.
And that's why I would disagree with you, sir.
Oh.
I would say dine in, and you should watch it in theaters because this movie needs your support because it was a fun film.
It was.
And you support it with your wallet because
right.
representation matters.
Or your AMC A-list pass.
But it's a fun film. I agree with you in the sense that it's very self-aware and I really like the interpretation from where it was as an animated series into where they brought it to modern day as a teenager.
Yeah.
There's heart, there's action, there's humor in there, and I think it's a fun ride in the theaters.
But I wouldn't say that it's a solid movie. There are so many flaws, but I think because of its flaws, it works really, really well. And it's like the thing about this movie is that you're not going to run out and tell everybody, guys, watch Dora the Explorer. You're not.
If you
I might.
If you enjoyed it, why not?
I know. I did.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Two things. I work in children's media, so I actually understand a lot of the sacrifices this movie has to make to do things that might be considered edgy in a kids movie. That it doesn't go too far.
Yeah.
But it goes just far enough.
It does.
And I think it does all those things really well.
The poop song. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that too. The poop song, the plant scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. God, I wish I could spoil some things about this movie.
No, yeah.
Can you spoil one of those? Poop song or plant
the poop song. There's so to begin with, there's a scene where one of the girls needs to poop because they got kidnapped and they went to the jungle, and she's all dancing around. She's like, I need a poop.
Well, the thing is, Dora sings. That's her thing.
And
she
Dora
sings things out.
You know what will help you?
So
a song, and she breaks out into song.
So it's authentic to the actual show. It really
is.
Right.
But what I love most about
backpack, which is a song.
Gotcha.
Like poop, bean, poop.
Yeah, but what I love most about it was that all of the supporting cast were playing straight characters, and that's what actually really worked in this movie. That all the actors are literally looking at it. Is that a monkey that's talking? Are we not going to pay attention to the fact that it's a fox that's talking? Like all those really silly, crazy moments. The straight actors are doing such a good job of balancing the campiness that it plays incredibly well.
Yeah, because Dora's in her own world, so she's like
delusional.
Well, some would say that, but she's like she plays at the beat of her own drum, right? She sings, she does all this. She talks to the camera, for God's sake. There's no camera there.
Does talk to the camera,
which is funny. It's a funny thing because that's what happens in the cartoon. And everyone else is like the straight character looking at her like she's an outsider.
Got it.
And I like that balance with it. I thought they covered it really well.
Got it.
I will say they kind of messed up. They kind of dropped the ball on something. This is a slight spoiler, but I don't think it's a big deal. There's this character in the old cartoon called the Swiper.
Yes.
Swiper, no swiping. It's this fox that steals things, I guess. I was a little too old for this one, but for the show. But they introduced the Swiper in this beginning segment.
Yeah.
That's all fantasy. And then the Swiper later on in the movie, out of nowhere, just happens to be real.
Yeah.
And they never explain it. And there are other magical elements in the movie that come in later, but the Swiper is consistently this thing that's never explained. And I think kind of doesn't fit. I don't think it fits.
It doesn't fit at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's where my problems with the movie really lie. There's these moments that are, and again, without going to spoilers, but they're significantly too outrageous for the world, and it doesn't do a good job of kind of explaining these elements in ways that you would expect a movie that seems to be very concrete. But it's very concrete on its geography and its like discussion about of history, and it's got all these little things that are like really realistic, and then there's these other really fantastical elements.
But we don't have an argument.
Fit.
We don't have an argument with that when it came to like Indiana Jones, when it was talking about all of the mystical stuff within that realm.
No, but I think they do a better job at like easing us into those things in those movies. I will say I think Indiana Jones is the best comparison.
Yeah.
This feels like Indiana Jones for the family, although Indiana Jones is for the family.
Mikey asked if this is what Tomb Raider should have been.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was just thinking
not the flawless Angelina Jolie films, he says, but the recent one based on the reboot game franchise. Yes. And he's like you said, Deadpoolish regarding her fourth wall breaking.
Yeah. I was actually going to just say that it does feel a lot more akin to Tomb Raider, but way more fun. And again, there are these moments where they're really realistic, because there's a moment in Tomb Raider in the very end, if you haven't seen that yet, where she has to jump across a chasm. And in this movie, you have that at the very beginning of the movie, and she doesn't make it.
Which is in the trailer.
Yeah, and it's hilarious because she fell down, and she clearly should have died, but she's like, "Oh, it hurts so bad," and then she just walks it off.
Broken something.
Yeah, but it's silly, but it's funny because it's played again somewhat realistic. There's an element of realism there, and I think that's what makes this movie that much fun. Like, it's just all these little silly elements, and again, the supporting cast is there. It does such a great job. Like you don't get to see the parents a whole lot, played by
Eva Longoria
and Michael Pena.
Who were both great.
They were amazing.
They were so good.
Yeah, and the directing in this movie, in contrast to the last movie, the directing is done so well. The actors are playing at full caliber. I can tell that there was some direction behind the scenes going, no, you need to try that again, but you need to be like really, really like aggressively uncomfortable with this moment.
What is the actress's name who plays Dora?
Isabella Moner.
Okay, well, she is the whole reason to see this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
she's great.
This movie,
she's charming.
She's charming. She's fully invested. She's really fun to watch. She's great from start to finish. I think the movie loses her a little when the adventure really gets going.
Yeah.
Like once they start solving some dungeon puzzles or whatever. But I think this movie pays off everything it sets up. I think it's all about contrast. It's really funny.
Yeah.
The whole theater was laughing. The kids who were this well-behaved children, the theater full of children, they were laughing. The parents were laughing. We were laughing. It's like, I would say it's a dine-in with an asterisk of like, if you have kids, absolutely.
Agreed. I would agree with that 100%. If you have kids, you can enjoy this movie. If you are, I was alone that night, and I was just kind of like, I just want to watch something that's not the kitchen. I wanted to cleanse the palate, one would say.
That's fair.
And I watched it, and I walked out of it with a cheerful step in my, like I was actually like kind of really happy. Like, that was really good.
It like cheered me up.
Yeah.
It's a good, fun movie.
If you're having a depressing week, you can go watch this movie and walk out happy. And I think that's a great narrative. That's great storytelling. The translation, again, this is a Nickelodeon movie. This is the best Nickelodeon movie ever. Evs.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Okay. I liked Harry at the Spot.
Did you like The Last Airbender, as you just mentioned it before? Like this movie did a really good thing, which by the way, just for the record, I know that I'm going to go a little long-winded here. This movie makes no sense as to why it works so well, except for the acting is really great, because the directors are not. Like the director, I was looking up. The director, James Bobbin, directed Alice Through the Looking Glass, Muppets Most Wanted, but he also directed Ali G. And I feel like this movie has Ali G moments in it.
Really?
Yeah. No, for sure. Like the outlandish,
as far as you can for a kids film, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. but outlandish silliness, like really ridiculous. You have Matthew Robinson, the writer, and Nicholas Stoller. Robinson wrote Monster Trucks.
Okay.
Yeah. Nicholas Stoller wrote Captain Underpants and Neighbors 1 and 2. So these are not like the biggest caliber of comedian writers you can get, but this movie works so well
because of the cast.
Yeah. And I think it's because of the cast, and because honestly, I think they all dug in. They all went in going, let's make a really ridiculous movie.
And Isabel Moner is such a delight to watch. But I also did enjoy her friends in this film as well.
Yeah.
They're a little stiff, but it's still good contrast for her.
Right.
So like even when they're not firing on all cylinders, it still makes her look better.
Yeah.
And she's, like I said, she's the reason to see it.
Yeah.
She's really good.
How was Eugenio Derbez?
Ridiculously funny. Ridiculous, I should say.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which she always is.
I feel like the best plays himself. I've seen him in a lot of Mexican movies, and he essentially plays himself. And he's another really charming Mexican actor. Like, I really enjoy watching him in movies. And he plays himself, and I think it works really well for its silliness. I don't know if you know anything about Derbez, but he's like been trying to do a little bit of the Cantinflas thing, so you can really tell that he's trying to bring it in, and it's a really good, enjoyable movie, and I think he does a good job there too.
It sounds like even though you said takeout, it sounds like you're convincing yourself that it's a dine-in.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. No. I listen. I'm just simply giving the opposing thought that if you have children, you should go watch this movie in theaters. Yeah. It is enjoyable, but if you were to catch this at home, I don't think you would. There's no elements in this movie that are like big enough that I can say like it's not Avengers, right? There's no cinematic element to it. You can watch it at home and still have a good time.
There's exploration in this. Dora the Explorer. There's
I think the exploration element is its weakest thing. Which it is at its best when the characters are bouncing off each other.
That sounds great. I think.
Yeah, give them a point. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm being honest.
You know what? I think you've convinced me the most. See, which is no, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So gonna say dine-in for Dora. So check out Dora. And it sounds like a very fun movie.
It's a really fun movie.
So time. Yeah.
I'm gonna hand the hosting duties back over to Dan. So thank you for letting me host.
And we're gonna go and move on to the next movie.
Movie menu.
And I did see this film as well, so I'm going to toss the host duties over to Z.
Yeah,
It's been a while since we've each hosted a movie.
It's been a while since we've done a triple feature.
Yeah,
that's true.
All right.
Thank you so much, Drew, for being a part of this.
Yeah, thanks so much for going to watch The Kitchen, because
oh my God,
we all know how bad that was.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So the last movie we're reviewing is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, directed by Andre Overdahl, written by Dan Hageman, Kevin Hageman, and Guillermo del Toro, based on a novel written by Alvin Schwartz, starring Zoe Margaret Coletti, Michael Garza, and Gabriel Rush. Mike, you were in this movie?
I was.
Oh, all right.
No, I wasn't.
All right, here's the plot. A group of teens face their fears in order to save their lives. Wow, that's a great synopsis. Thanks, IMDb. All right, so depending on your spoiler review, I'll say this one more time. I would decide the movie's worth to dine in and watch it in theaters, to take out, watch it at home, or leftovers.
Read about a scary story about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, whoever owns the points wins the points, and Drew, you're the only one. All right, so Drew, rate this film.
Okay. I don't know. This one was good, but it wasn't great, and I know that's super vague.
Was it Dora the Explorer?
Oh no, I think it was not as good as Dora. Or at least I didn't have as good of a time as I did in Dora. And we saw them back to back. I would say Takeout for this one. I think it was a serviceable, good, scary movie. I don't know if it was... This is going to sound weird. I don't know if it was age appropriate for the audience they seem to be going for from the marketing material. I'm also not familiar with Beyond the Illustrations, which are like legendary. I'm not familiar with the source material. So as a person going into this pretty blind, I liked it. I think it would be great to watch at home with like popcorn and a blanket and a friend or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. That's Takeout.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dan?
Wow. So wait. So your first film, Leftovers.
Yeah.
Next second one is.
It was a well-rounded weekend.
Ran the gamut.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Dine In for this film.
Okay.
I thought it was really well done, and I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters, and I really enjoyed the creature design in the film as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did feel like there was some really nice suspenseful moments, and some moments that, though they were quick jump scares, but there were also some tension building moments as well that I really enjoyed in theaters. So yeah,
All right.
say dine-in.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna say dine-in as well.
Wow,
For similar reasons. I really, really enjoyed the character design in this. For
the creature design.
Yeah, the creature design. Excuse me.
Or the creature design.
All right, so this movie, I mean, creature design, I think was one of the reasons why Del Toro really wanted to be part of this series.
Well, because of the imagery and
the imagery. Yeah, and we all. I mean, I read the books as a child. Did you guys read the books as a child?
No.
I read one of them.
Yeah, one of
the first
them.
volume, I think.
Do you feel like it honors the stories? Because the stories initially are just simply like short stories.
They're anthologies.
Yeah.
And in this film, they kind of goosebumped this film.
What does that mean?
So if you saw the movie Goosebumps...
I did not.
The book it's basically the same plot.
So they find a book.
They find the book, and all the story comes to life. Basically, it's very similar. But
how is that a good thing, though?
But where that's more of a family-friendly film.
Okay.
This one, though, it's still like I think rated PG-13. They take it a little further with the darkness of it.
It's definitely a hard
R.
PG-13. Yeah, it does feel R. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it is though.
No. It's
but it does feel like it's R.
Yeah,
it's PG-13. Now, why do you say it should be R? Without spoiling something.
I think language is a kind of an issue in this movie, and I'm not sensitive to it. I just think they say shit a lot.
Oh, okay.
And they may have gotten more than one fuck. I think maybe they got one fuck, but like that was a lot of shits. I don't know.
That sounds like a problem you need to go to the doctor for.
No, it sounds like it sounds like the first movie we reviewed.
Brought it back.
Yeah.
So they're like although this is a kids movie, it immediately grounds it in like the real world.
Okay.
Like you get within the first 5 minutes you get racism, like you see.
Oh,
I also love Mike. What I also loved about it is that what these characters are going through with this horror film supernatural aspect, you're also involved in the real world aspect of the war going on and being drafted.
Yeah.
Which war? When is this being?
Vietnam.
It's a period.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
So it takes place during Vietnam.
So 1970s.
Yeah, like 19. Yeah,
late 60s. I think. Yeah.
And so. You constantly are reminded that Nixon's up for presidency and all this stuff, and I like that balance where it's the supernatural element where that's horror, but then it grounds you with the real horror of our actual world.
Okay.
Of with the war, with racism, and all that crazy stuff.
Got it. Okay. And Mike, you were saying like the racism, like that's the
you get first you get like the. I don't know if it's spoiler. I mean, it's the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Go for it.
But like in the very like one of the first shots you see are like swastikas on Nixon posters and stuff like that. So and then one of the lead characters, he's being racist towards a Mexican lead and just everything that's involved with it. He's basically bullying the character, but it's I thought it was totally unexpected. It reminded me of. What was the movie called?
It.
Not It, but it does have that same feel.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
But was it called like Little Big Man? I'm trying to remember. Me and Dan saw it together.
The little boy or the boy?
Yeah. Where it's like it's unexpectedly
racist.
Yeah, it has like way more adult themes than you'd expect.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that this film carries that same weight and the creatures in this film are actually pretty creepy for a kid's
little
film.
boy.
Do they play off of the racism? Because I mean, like horror. We know horror, especially like the zombie horrors. The initial one was about racism. So
they touch on it and they make like references to like Night of the Living Dead as well. So it's kind of like a. It almost feels like a subtle homage to it or whatever, but I don't think it ever fully wraps it up. They just kind of mention it, so it's in there. Okay. But that's okay because like it kind of gives realism to this world, which I think was fun. I enjoyed that.
Okay,
I have a question because I'm not familiar really with the source material. The bones of this movie, upon which all the stories are sort of grafted. That's invented for this movie, correct? Okay.
The bone. You mean the plot structure?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually
each story is separate on its own.
Yeah.
And I think that element has a lot of surprises in store. And I think some of the stories interpreted into the film, even though I have no context for them, are really effective. I think this is like a really effective movie. I don't know why I walked out of it just feeling kind of whatever. I usually have a lot to say when I walk out of a movie. Didn't have a lot to say.
Was it the pacing that felt off?
It had a pacing problem. It wasn't egregious, but it was there.
Yeah.
It goes a little slow. I did a little clock watching here too, but I think the main characters are really compelling. I think they're all really fun to watch and funny, and the main girl is like I don't know where they find these talented young people in some of these movies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think the creature design is great. I think there's a lot to like about this movie. I think the ending has a problem, and I can't talk about it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
But
I mean, I can see how it could be a problem.
Yeah. So you were talking about the acting, Mike. How are you in this movie?
I just went through casting. I said I was 16.
All right, how was
they believed me for some reason.
How was the acting in this movie?
No, I enjoyed the acting of the leads, and I think there's like, there's hits and misses on some things, but I think it really hits on where it should, which is like the creepiness and or on the things that I cared about, I should say, which was like the creepy factor, and as well as
because you're a creep.
Yeah, because I'm a creep.
Yeah,
and also the creatures. I want to mention and you've seen it in the trailer, like the creature, the woman that's missing a toe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's the same creature actor as in Mama.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just throwing it out there because I really liked his creature acting in Mama. So it was super awesome. And the director of this is also the same director as The Autopsy of Jane Doe,
which I loved,
which is great. And he also directed Troll Hunter, which is also was unexpectedly super fun. So I would if you haven't seen that either of those yet, and you're a fan of horror films, I definitely recommend.
I think
checking
Autopsy of Jane Doe is on Netflix or on Prime, one of those two. But yeah, it's such an enjoyable movie. So I'm trying to see whether or not that was rated R. I think it was. It was rated R. So that movie,
both of those
was rated R. And you guys are talking a little bit about the PG-13 of this movie, that it felt way more hardcore than PG-13. Did it feel like, I don't know if this is a good reference, did it feel like an 80s PG-13?
It feels like the same feeling of it kind of felt similar to Stranger Things, in that same way.
Well, that's not a good thing.
I mean, not that it's copying it, but I mean in terms of tone. Like you got you're in these kids' world and you're following what they're doing, but there's some heavy stuff happening around them, and I think they accomplished that balance.
And I would agree that it does have those 80s tropes. I mean, the parents aren't really involved that much, except for maybe one character's parent, but we don't see the parents ever really. It's all the kids' stories. We follow their stories. We follow what they've been going through. So yeah, it's about maybe an 80s.
Well, what about 80s PG-13?
Well, it goes further.
Yeah,
I think it's retro, but it's not reverent. It's more like It, in the sense that it tells you how really fucking shitty the 60s were for young people. For young people on both sides of being sort of antagonistic and just trying to get along and get by. I think more for me, it's just being really close to kids' media, knowing some of the limits on language.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care about that. I don't, but I just felt like I was surprised at how much these kids were cursing, and I know it makes me sound like an old person. But yeah.
Do you now see yourself putting in more curse word into your children's media?
Well, no. But
now that you see what the extent of PG-13,
now I'm really gonna push the limit for our 6 to 11 audience,
for the PG audience.
Yeah. I don't even think we'd be considered PG.
Just introduce Pennywise out of nowhere, and then
we're not G. G is Christian media, but actually, I think my biggest problem with this movie, I think it's scary in parts where it does it really well sometimes, but I think we have to stop doing jump scares.
I agree with that, Mike. I know you hate jump scares too, so
they're tired.
So tired of them. Yeah,
there are a few, but not as many as I was expecting. So.
I agree with that.
I think each creature was really compelling to watch, but for me, the most suspenseful one was the woman in the hallway. That was that was just that alone. That whole
was super
sequence
cool, right?
was on the edge of my seat with that moment.
That was fun, and they really do they really do keep you in that scene for a while too, which is fun. You know,
Haunting of Hill House. Does it feel a little bit like that?
It does. There is. I mean, without giving too much away, the story,
maybe like the old time, like the when they were kids.
That's what I just hearing you guys talk about. That's what I'm hearing flavors of.
There is like a Haunting of Hill House flavor in this, without giving without giving too much away, you know, because it is in the third act. So talking about it any further would be spoilers.
Gotcha. So. Okay. I feel like I've heard enough. Damn, I'm really regretting the decision, but you know what? No, I'm gonna give it to Drew because Drew is the only one who earns points. You know what? I'm probably gonna watch this at home. To be honest, I kind of feel like this movie. I do want to watch it in theaters. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like this is a movie that I would want to enjoy at home with popcorn. I love the idea of a children's movie or a PG-13 movie that's scarier for them. I love that. I love horror. I love 80s horror for that reason because PG-13 meant so much more in the 80s. So yeah, I think I'm going to watch this movie I'm probably going to watch it at home, to be honest.
Okay,
if I'm being honest,
that's.
But but it's a dine-in, obviously.
Yeah, the whole. Yeah, it was totally. I had no idea that it took place in like the late '60s.
Yeah, neither did I.
I didn't either. You just said that, and I was like, "Wait, what now?"
Yeah, the trailer doesn't give that away. So in the beginning, it's like, "Whoa, where are we? What time?"
But you know,
I just thought it was a small town, but I didn't realize it was like a small town in this time period.
Yeah, in the movie, it does
like
feel
68?
It does feel like 68.
Yeah,
I feel like they sell it. It's not in the trailers, but it's there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Honestly, I would watch this in theaters, but
you don't have to give me the point.
Yeah,
I actually think the more we talk about it, I think they're probably right.
All right.
I'm a particular person.
Dine in, watch it in theaters. Dan, back to the hosting dude is back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Z, for hosting and Mike for hosting.
Well, thank you, Dan, for hosting.
Thank you so much, Drew, for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you had fun as much as we had fun with you.
I did. I had very much fun. Yeah.
So, is there anything you would like to promote and shout out to all your glorious fans out there?
A couple of things. I'm working at Netflix Animation on a show called Battle Kitty. I don't know when we're going to premiere, but just keep your ears peeled for that because it's going to be really funny and cool, and you can watch it with your kids, or
Battle
you can watch
Kitty.
it because it's great. And also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at King of Safari. Please do that because I like having people around to interact with. So do that.
So make sure to follow Drew. Thank you so much again. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz. Please follow us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. Also, check out our website at moviemenupodcast.com, where you can find our content, our interviews with filmmakers, our past reviews, movie news. We have old episodes on there as well, so make sure you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We are there. And if we're not, let us know, and we will get on there. Thank you so much. Until next time, guys. I'm Dan the Man signing off. Next week will be our final episode for the season, and we'll take a quick hiatus and come back for the Joker in October. See you later. Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4.